All right, stronger humans, hello. I want to share today's sandbag box squat session with you. This is my first time doing a high repetition sandbag box squat session. Using a 150-pound sandbag and all the equipment, of course, you can get at thestrongerhuman.com. But I have a question for you before we continue. I want to ask you, what do you think ends a set like this? What do you think is the limiting factor? But I'll answer that question for what I think, because I think that this isn't just a strength endurance practice. It's not just a practice that you can, build your legs with. But for me, this is breath work. And we're going to come back to that because I want to give a shout out to Renee Rask. He's a member of the Stronger Human community. He's been a member for maybe 2 years now. And I've been seeing Renee crush sandbag box squats for the past, maybe 8, 9, maybe even more months. And Renee is a beast. So this guy's like an anime main character, as John Elu put it on our last group call. Because he's like 160 pounds, 170 pounds. He came into the community initially with some hypermobility issues, but he crushed, I think, a 200 plus rep set of a 150 pound sandbag box squats. And he does that in concordance with rope flow, juggling, sprinting, sled work. The dude is a beast. And I've been observing him and the things that he's been noticing from this sandbag box squat practice. And, after our last group call this Saturday, it made me want to try it for myself. And I'll say, I haven't wanted to try it because I knew that it was going to burn a lot. I knew that it was going to be quite demanding. But I also noticed from observation that, this is a really, really interesting practice. So I might as well try it to see what I glean from it. Now, like I mentioned, I'm using 150 pounds here, and I'm squatting down to a sandbag that is at pretty much a 90-degree joint angle. I want to talk about that real quick because some people would say, if you put it lower, you'll get more leg hypertrophy and this and that. Look, this is the thing. I'm not necessarily aiming for the most leg hypertrophy, even though you can get a good amount from this joint angle. More so, I'm feeling it a lot in my glutes with every single rep. But the thing is I don't want this session to cost me too much because I want to be able to grapple tomorrow. I want to be able to have a really solid movement session the next day. So I'm not looking to maximize hypertrophy by getting the highest joint angle possible. Along with that, I do think that if you're wanting to try out this practice, use a 90-degree joint angle. This is something that I could even have my mom, who's 68 or 69, do, because it's not going to be too tough on her knees, but it will build the resilience of those joints. So that's something to think about. Now, as I mentioned earlier, or maybe I didn't, I don't necessarily remember, this is a breathwork practice. And if you've been listening, you've been hearing me breathe in and out through my nose, and you've been noticing that that breathing has a rhythm in concordance with my squats. When I inhale, I go down. When I exhale and produce force, I come up. And there are going to be periods where I give myself a few extra breaths in between reps. So I'll inhale on the way down on the eccentric. When I'm sitting there, I'll take a breath or two. Then I'll exhale when I'm producing force on the way up. And Rickson, who's one of the most dominant grapplers to ever live, wrote a book called Breathe, A Life in Flow. And in that book, he talked about his practice of biohinastica, which is a Brazilian movement method. And Rickson talked about learning to find a rhythm with your movement and your breathing. And when he would do his biohinastica movements, every movement would have a rhythmic component with his breath. They would be in sync. And what Rickson found is that you're able to find a higher level of efficiency if you're able to find a rhythm with your breath and your movement. And that's what I was able to find, not just doing stuff like these sandbag box squats here, but when I do my assault bike work, when I do my sled work, when I do sprinting, when I do my jiu-jitsu. I've also observed this in athletes. When you watch some top sprinters breathe, sometimes you'll notice that their cadence of their breathing has matches the rhythm of the cadence of their steps. And one of the big reasons why this happens, and one of the big reasons why this efficiency is found, is because of prediction. Your body doesn't have to now guess when is the next breath coming, and it's able to set into a better efficiency because your breath has a rhythm with the way you're moving. So you're able to be a bit calmer with what you're doing. So as I mentioned, I'm aiming to breathe through my nose when I'm doing this. One of the reasons is I'm trying to build my carbon dioxide tolerance. And when you breathe in and out through your nose, you're not going to be able to expel as much carbon dioxide. So you have to become better at holding more carbon dioxide as effort gets harder, but you need to keep it moving, or you need to keep your body moving. You see, when most people start to get tired or reach high levels of fatigue, their ventilation or their rate of breathing increases. And with that rate of breathing increases, they start to open their mouth, and they open their mouth so they can expel more carbon dioxide because their carbon dioxide tolerance isn't great. But the thing about this ventilation, it's going to make you start to lean towards more anaerobic type work, which isn't necessarily bad. It's a slightly different energy system than your aerobic energy system, but it's not necessarily as efficient. And you're using a fuel that you're going to go through a little bit faster than if you were breathing with an aerobic intent or aerobic ventilation. That's kind of how I look at this. When I'm breathing through my nose, I'm breathing slower, I'm breathing deeper, and I'm going to be able to have more efficiency with that breathing as I continue to do the work that I'm doing. More on this in the breathing video that's coming, because that's not the only thing that this video is about, but I wanted to give you just an idea of what I'm thinking about with this focus on nasal breathing. It's also something that Renee does too. He talks about it, and again, Renee, comment down below so you can give the people some information on what you think about when you're doing this. The other reason why I really like the sandbag for this is because unlike a barbell, which axial compression or when the barbell's on your back is not bad, and a 150-pound barbell on the back doesn't necessarily feel too difficult. But a 150-pound sandbag or a sandbag in front of you has a level of difficulty because now you're holding this weight out in front of you, but it's also pressing against your muscles of breathing. So you have to breathe efficiently if you want to be able to get through a long set of this type of work, sandbag box squats. Because as the sandbag is pushing into you, you need to find a way. As you notice, I'm grunting, I'm growling on the way up because I'm breathing into my diaphragm or breathing deep and into the bag. You notice my shoulders aren't rising. I'm not having erratic breathing, but I'm having to find the right amount of tension so I can keep the breath going to keep the set going. And I want to mention that is what is the limiting factor here, because I do 105 reps, but I could have done more because honestly, after rep maybe 30 or 40, I'm not sure, somewhere around there, the fatigue continued to feel the same. But you notice my heart rate's climbing. And I'm excited to just kind of slowly push this over time, see what type of how many more reps I can get while keeping things safe. But the breath is the limiting factor here. And I like this practice because, in my opinion, for me, this is a breath work practice. This is something that's going to improve my efficiency of breathing and my strength endurance. And for me, being someone who practices jiu-jitsu, but also being someone who is trying to learn more about breathing efficiency and develop that aspect of my practice, this excites me a lot. So I think that this would be a great thing you could add into your practice. Very safe. Great for building your structure, great for building muscle, but also as a breathwork practice, it's pretty amazing. So it's my first time doing sandbag box squats like that. I was probably doing a voiceover during this video. Renee, you're a beast. I probably mentioned this in the voiceover, but Double R is within the Stronger Human community. He's been in the community for 2 years now. And he got this from, give a shout out to Cody from the Stone Circle. And he loved that Cody was doing these, and he started doing them in his practice. And Renee, you're right. I really like this. Because I'm feeling it in my quads a bit. I'm mainly feeling it in my glutes. And I tried to keep it nasal. So not allowing myself to breathe through my mouth, to control my intensity. So you saw there's a few times where I was just sitting, breathing through the nose. The goal to increase my carbon dioxide tolerance, which improves my aerobic output. So the goal is for that whole thing to be an aerobic type of movement session, which it was. But It's a breathing practice too. Renee, thank you. Because seeing you do this for the many months that you've been doing it, I've just been watching. And I've been telling myself, and it's true, I don't necessarily like doing tons of leg volume because my legs and my butt are like the dominant part of my body. They will grow. And I don't mind mentioning this now. I'm doing more things with acting, so I'm trying to have more normal proportions, but I got my mama's butt. As weird as that sounds, my mom has big legs and a big butt. It's just true. And I have inherited that, which has been a blessing because strong legs is great, but it also gives me slightly different type of proportions. But I like this practice and I'm going to maintain it. I don't know how many days a week I'll do this. Maybe I'll do it once a week, maybe twice a week. But right now I feel really good. Like, I'll probably continue the voiceover. I'm going to do some isometric work now. Thank you, Renee. And if you guys want to join the Strong Human community, I love this community because I get inspired by community members all the time. You know, I have all the practices within the courses within the Stronger Human, but I'd say that I am someone who gets to benefit so much because I've got some really smart people in there developing their own personal practices for the skills and things that they want to do. Ricky is into climbing. Chung Ho has started this, Chung Ho, correct me if I'm wrong, is it a Korean martial art? Taekon? I'm probably saying it correctly. Taekon? Chung Ho, please, in the comments so you can help me out. Wendy is just doing a lot of things. See Wendy sprinting, running hills, carrying sandbags. Got Angela doing swings. Got John trying to develop a level of lower body mastery and bringing more dance into what he does. It's so cool because I get to share the knowledge that I've learned and coached over the years, but then I also get to gain knowledge from all of the members of the community, and it's really a community. So if you want to join this awesome community, click the link down below. You can have a 7-day free trial to get a taste of what we're doing in there. Group call, 8 a.m. Pacific. And I probably already talked about the horse, well, maybe I didn't talk about the horse stance challenge, but we got a flash challenge going on in the community. Some cool products are being given away, and come on in and you can join the flash challenge and you can join our July-August challenge. All linked below. All right, let me do some isos and then I'm gonna be done. Renee, thank you. I like this practice. I like this practice a lot. So thank you. You know, as this video continues, it's going to finish soon. I just want to give you some ideas on what to think about when running this practice for yourself as I sit here doing some horse stance and kicking isometrics. What I think about is this. Of course, you know, you could go lower if you want more leg hypertrophy. If you want to just, you know, thrash yourself, you can, you know, allow yourself to breathe however you want to breathe, and you can try to go for time if you want to. But again, I'm looking for efficiency. My goal is to find ease within this practice. So I want to find a way to breathe to make this practice feel easier. That's going to be nasal breathing. That's going to be finding a rhythm with that breathing. And if you want to improve your breathing mechanics and you want to improve your aerobic capacity, I would suggest that you also learn how to do something like this without having to open your mouth and slowly improve that capacity over time. Because again, it's not that you'll never have to open your mouth when you do exercise or when intensity gets higher, but the goal is that you want to be able to put off having to have faster and increased ventilation for a longer period of time, meaning that you'll be able to do more work with better efficiency because you have more carbon dioxide tolerance, because you've improved your nasal breathing capacity. It takes time, and it can be annoying because it might feel like, oh, you can't do any work, or you know you could do more if you just breathe faster. But if you're patient with that process, I guarantee you're going to notice it kind of show itself in everything else that you do. So, I hope you give that a shot. The breathing video is coming. That's going to explain more of this in detail.
Okay.
Talk to you guys soon.
Let's keep it moving.